Hello, this is Wmpyr. I've still been thinking about the question that I received recently, which was pretty much along the lines of, can you show us actual real life tactics using a knife in like a self-defense type situation, right? And in a nutshell, I know a lot of people are interested in that. So let's think of the situation, right? We're talking about the bad guy is right there in front of you and has already made it super clear that they're going to try to do some lethal harm to you. And this is not like you could just run away. And you happen to have your knife. So, what do you do? It's a simple enough question. You got your knife out, the bad guy's in front of you. What do you do? And, before going into techniques, I think strategy is so important. You have to have an overall idea of what you're going to do. And for me, I go back to Captain Fairbairn's method, which is World War II combatives. And as you can see right here, I have it in 3 simple steps. But what I want you guys to understand is this is my own interpretation. Captain Fairbairn does not come out and say there are 3 steps in a combat situation. He doesn't say that. Okay, this is just me after, my study of his method. I kind of pretty much figured that he has 3 steps. All right, so this is my notes. Anyhow, why is it 3 steps? Well, because in a real life situation, it needs to be simple. It needs to be clear. If it has 15 steps, I don't think that's very good. You're not going to remember it, and that's pretty specific. So, I think for a real life situation, it needs to be simple, it needs to be easy, and because it's so simple like this, it can adapt to different scenarios. Because when you say a real life self defense situation, honestly, that covers a lot of different situations that I can think about. Like, for example, a riot situation, a home invasion, defending yourself in a dark alley, defending yourself in a public parking lot. These all make the situations a little different from each other. So anyway, these are the 3 steps that I've broken it down to. So it comes down to stun, hurt, throw. And that's easy. Anyone can remember stun, hurt, throw. You can just remember it as shit. Shit, I am in this situation, So SHT, stun, hurt, throw. Now let's go into some detail. So if you just think of this from the bad guy's perspective, you just hurt the other person. Okay, pretty much. A bad guy would do that. They would just go up to somebody, an innocent victim, and just hurt them. Okay. And they're able to do that because they're probably bigger, stronger, and meaner. And in this case, we are the good guys, right? We are the good people. So if you're the good person, you're probably not going to be the bigger, stronger, meaner person trying to mess with or defend yourself against somebody, because usually they're cowards. So they're going to pick someone they know is weaker. They know that they could bully. They know that they could take advantage of. Someone that is a safe bet. So once again, chances are the opponent, the bad guy, is bigger, stronger, and meaner. If not, we could also assume that they're going to be in an advantageous position. Whatever it is, maybe they caught you by surprise. Maybe they outnumber you. Maybe you're sick. It could be any kind of, because you weren't expecting this. Because if you were, you wouldn't have been in this situation. You wouldn't have woken up and come here, wherever it is. So this is not what you planned, obviously. So you're going to be taken off guard. you are at a disadvantage. Therefore, it's difficult for you to just immediately hurt them. So the number 2, hurt, that cannot be our number 1. So it's more realistic that we cannot immediately just hurt the opponent. Therefore, the number 1 comes into play, which is to stun them first. Stun in order to hurt them. So that's why our number 1 is about stun. And for me personally, I like to go back to good old boxing basics, and stun would be your jab. If you have a good jab, then this can really help you out. Now, there's many ways to throw the jab. Which one do you pick? And I would recommend to you guys, before studying world champion so-and-so or any of the legends like Muhammad Ali or Mike Tyson, I would say start with a basic textbook boxing jab. And that all across the board is typically pretty similar. They're generally the same. The textbook jab should be pretty identical, okay? Now, when you look at Muhammad Ali or Mike Tyson, they both use jabs, but their jabs are drastically different. Which one is right? Which one is wrong? It's not right or wrong. It's their jab works for them. So for the Muhammad Ali fight style, his jab is ideal. For the Mike Tyson fighting method, his jab is ideal. So when you start to have a system, you're going to start to, I think, develop or find a jab that works for you. But until then, the basic jab is gold. And it gives you the foundation. It gives you the fundamentals. So you should be working on the basic textbook jab, in my opinion. So that's a very good stun technique. Now, I know this topic is about knives. It's like, why are we talking about boxing? That's empty hand. Well, the way Escrima, I see Escrima, and I already explained to you guys, is that one system for all weapons. Therefore, if we do the jab, we're going to do the jab with a stick. We're going to do the jab with the knife. Sure, there's going to be small adjustments that you got to make, but the general idea, the jab will be there. And that's the way that I see it. So learn the jab, even if your final intention, your final goal is the knife, still learn the boxing jab. So that's number 1. Number 2 is hurt, right? And to hurt the opponent, what is the technique that we can use? Now, if you're just going from a boxing logic like I did right now, you're probably going to go, well, the right cross or a left hook or an uppercut. These will all hurt the opponent. Sure, yes, absolutely. But when I look at this simple strategy, 1, 2, and 3, number 3 is to throw them. All throws are executed in the clinch. So that means we want to end up in the clinch. So my number 2 is not just an uppercut or a left hook or a right cross. No, it's a technique that's going to take me to the clinch. Okay? So yeah, you could throw an uppercut and just stay there and then maybe throw multiple uppercuts or throw different techniques there in medium range and continue to do damage, right? But that is not what I'm trying to do. I want to if I am going to throw an uppercut, I want my uppercut that's going to take me to the clinch, that's going to close the distance because of what you're seeing right here, stun, hurt, throw. So my next move needs to be in the clinch. And so then I'm looking at techniques that will take me there, not keep me in medium range. Now, if you're an expert striker and you're very confident that you're better than the other guy in the medium range, then we see this in MMA. We actually see this in UFC where the guy's an excellent striker, he throws punches, whatever techniques, and then he ends up in the clinch, and then the other guy's a grappler and gets taken down. And it's like, oh, you should have stayed out of reach so that you could keep outstriking the guy because that was that was your area of expertise. You were the better striker. So in order to do that, they have to actually learn to maintain the distance while throwing those shots in medium range and not have to rely, because if it was a normal kickboxing match, once they got in the clinch, the ref could break it up and then, so they could just keep fighting like that. You don't need the skill to maintain the distance necessarily, Of course, it'd be better if you did, even in kickboxing or boxing, but it's not as critical because in MMA, if you don't have that skill, you get taken down and now the guy can take you into his world. So here, that is, I don't care about that. I don't care about outstriking my opponent. Here, I want to be in the clinch, okay? So the techniques that I'm looking for, once again, is techniques that's going to take me to the clinch. And one of the techniques that I really, really like is, for me, I've shown you many videos of what I call the chainsaw. The chainsaw is basically the straight blast, the Escrima version of the straight blast. And the name chainsaw and the way that I'm putting it together is something that I made up. But it is an evolution of a traditional Filipino martial arts partner drill, which is the punching partner drill that we do with the double sticks. But there's really no name that I know of. So I just call it the punching drill. Probably a lot of other people call it that too. But I evolved that into the chainsaw. And once again, it is Escrima's version of the straight blast. That's the way that I see it. So in other words, what I'm trying to say to you guys, for step 2, study the straight blast. For if you prefer more MMA, then study what is called the MMA blitz, okay? And one of the guys that I really like to study is a guy called Wanderlei Silva. If you haven't seen him, he was a legend in Pride. And people just go, oh, he's just a brawler, and for me, it's no. He uses the straight blast. And it's ironic because when Jeet Kune Do people are criticized and people say, your stuff doesn't work in MMA, they always quick to point out, hey, look at Vitor Belfort. And the match that they're talking about is when Vitor uses the MMA blitz, which can also be called the straight blast, and takes out Wanderlei Silva, the guy that I'm talking about. So it's kind of ironic in that sense. But to study the straight blast, I like studying not Vitor, but actually Wanderlei Silva. His name is also spelled as Wanderlei Silva with a W. And that's your best way to find him. But to me, his straight blast is extremely intelligent. Yes, he backs it up with savagery. He backs it up with his physique, which is he's super muscular and he looks extremely strong and fit. But he does have technique in there as well, and that's what I like to study. Vitor, on the other hand, yes, he has a phenomenal physique that I think really helps him out because he's super fit, super strong. But on top of that, he has, I think, this genetic gift where his punches the body mechanics there is very, very difficult to just mimic that and learn that as a technique because it comes from natural, a natural DNA gift, God-given gift, whatever you want to call it, But anyway, so for step 2, I like the straight blast or MMA blitz, whatever you want to call it. For Escrima, it's the chainsaw. That's what I do. But I study the straight blast and the blitz. For those of you guys that prefer more traditional methods, study the Wing Chun chain punch, okay, for step 2. Now let's go to step 3, which is throw. It's really a takedown. Throw and takedown is slightly different. Okay, maybe throw is in the category of takedown, but yeah. To nitpick, yeah, they're a little different, but at the end of the day, we're talking about the same thing. Okay, and throw or takedown disorients your opponent, and it's like, wait a minute. Once again, we're talking about the knife, right? And yeah, so step 2 also, you got to be able to do the straight blast with the knife, all right? But I've done overkill where I could do the straight blast technique, which is our chainsaw. So I can do the chainsaw with double knife. Now, I don't expect to have double knife, but that's just to make sure that my technique is solid. If I could do it with two knives, then doing it with one knife is much easier. It's much safer for sure. So I'm doing overkill, but that is what I learned from Escrima, so I'm just applying it there. But anyway, for step 3, yes, even for the throw, you got to be able to throw the opponent with the knife. Now, the techniques that I personally favor for step 3, these are, to put it simply, I like the chokes. Why? Because when we're coming from step 2, I'm head hunting. This is no secret. My chainsaw is going to be all to their face. So I am head hunting. And to go from face to neck it's right there. It's easy. It's easier. It's just more, it flows better. So to go from the face and then change levels all the way down, it's definitely 100% possible. Once again, Vanderlei Silva, that's part of his MMA blitz. If you watch his Pride fights, that's what he does. He goes in and he slugs you with his blitzing, and then he changes levels into a takedown. And it's smooth and it's awesome. But for me personally, I feel like there's small holes there. And I personally prefer to go, rather than go all the way down into a double leg type shooting in type technique, I rather just go to the neck. And because also I don't necessarily want to take it to the ground, for the street. So I go to the neck, because the neck, you don't necessarily have to take them down all the way to the ground. So, but then you go, wait a minute. You're talking about chokes. Step 3 is a throw or / takedown. It's not chokes, or it's not a submission. What's up with that? And my answer is, the chokes that I like are the ones that the choke can be a throw and the throw can be a choke. Therefore, by going for this choke, I can still take them down. All right, so that's my answer right there for step 3. Those are the types of techniques, yes, they exist, and those are the types of techniques that I personally prefer. Okay, you don't have to do that, but you could still follow this formula, and you don't have to pick the same stuff that I'm picking, but I'm just giving you guys, I'm just sharing with you my personal preference. So I like the chokes, and I have shown them on my YouTube videos, the chokes that can be a takedown. Now, I've done it with the sticks, which means, as you can imagine, if you could do it with the sticks, you could do it with the knife, you could do it with empty hands. So those are the techniques that I like, the versatile ones. So once again, I follow the one system for all situation type things. So anyway, I hope this gives a good idea for you guys. No matter what style it is that you're studying, it could be a traditional Kung Fu style, or you could be doing a sports style like Muay Thai kickboxing or boxing or MMA or whatever. Or it could be, like a Krav Maga, like a modern self-defense system or combatives type of stuff. You can follow these 3 simple steps and ask yourself, what would I do for stun? What would I do for hurt? And what would I do for throw? And if I have a knife, then how would that affect? Would you change techniques, or would you keep the same technique? That's all up to you. But these are the 3 steps that I think could really, really help anybody out. So that's it for now. Thank you for viewing, and take care, folks.